Hey guys, today I'm just going to run through some things you can do at home just to try and alleviate some of the symptoms of lower leg pain, whether it be shin splints or calf pain or ankle pain, foot pain, whatever it might be. So first of all, I will say that everything we're going to go through today you can do at home nice and easily, but it definitely won't come anywhere near getting some professional treatment either from myself or your favorite physiotherapist or massage therapist or whoever else it is you might end up seeing. But it can alleviate some of the pain, that's for sure. So when we look at more of these local causes of lower leg pain, a lot of the time they're going to come from other areas in the body. So we've spoken about sort of increasing your volume of running and all those things. But there's a few sort of key things that really can affect what's going on with the lower leg from a structural perspective. So very often it will be instability in the foot or maybe overpronation in the foot. So overpronation, if you imagine this is my right foot, is where the foot's dropping over and in a lot this way, okay? So in towards your big toe. That can definitely cause some issues higher up in the shins. And it can even come from the other end. So for example, instability in the pelvis or weak hips or weak glutes, something like this, can actually, or even areas around the hips that are tight, they can actually cause overpronation, oversupination, which is the other way. It's when you start rolling out towards your big toe a little bit more. And unfortunately the lower leg sort of in the middle and tends to try and compensate and ends up getting sore. Other areas that can be an issue, tight quads, tight hamstrings, even tight upper back. So if you haven't got a lot of upper back mobility, that is your thoracic spine, if that's not very mobile, that can actually create a lot of tension all through the what's called the posterior chain, which includes hamstrings too. So on a number of occasions people have come in with tight hamstrings. It's not actually the hamstrings that's the issue, it's just poor mobility through the thoracic spine, and we improve mobility there. And straight away we see a change and an improvement in range of motion test when we look at the hamstrings. We haven't actually touched them. So yeah, to try and explain everything in a short video is going to lead to misunderstanding and get me into trouble, no doubt. But let's move on to the things you can do at home. So if you find you're getting lower leg pain, we can start looking at trigger points. Now there's a number of different trigger points through the calves and this sort of thing. I'm just going to show you a couple of the main ones that tend to get some good results. So the first one we use is just on the inside here. So if you imagine where your bottom of your calf muscle is, and that will be different for everybody, but around the sort of bottom of the calf muscle, what you do is you come in and you're going to find a little spot there that's a little bit tender, and I'm just going to push in with your thumb, and you feel that's going to be quite uncomfortable, okay? So think of a pain scale between 1 to 10, 10 being the most pain you think you could bear, 0 being nothing at all. When we initially push in, we'll put enough pressure so we reach about an 8 out of 10, and then keep holding that point until we get around a 3, and it will start to dissipate. Sometimes it will be quite quick, other times it's going to be a little bit slower, okay? So this one here can work really well. Next up, just on the outside, there's a muscle here called the tibialis anterior, and that can definitely be a bit of a pain for runners. So what we're going to do here is a trigger point. If you feel at the bottom of your knee come down, there's a little bony bit at the front on either side, and all we're going to do, we're going to come down maybe an inch or two below that bony area, and again you're going to find a point at that level but around more towards the outside, and again let's get your thumb and we're going to push that in, okay, and get to that 8 out of 10, and then we'll come down to about a 3. Now what you may well feel is as you're pushing in at that point, you may feel some referral pain into the foot, or you might even feel a sense of relaxation or something like this in the foot too, okay? Now, if you don't get referral pain, it doesn't mean that it doesn't or won't work. It's by the by really. So, point on the outside, then point halfway down on the inside. If you're getting some foot pain through the bottom of the foot, if you've got some plantar fasciitis for example, something you can do is just rolling your foot on top of a tennis ball. It's fairly soft, and if you find this is not enough, you can try on a golf ball. So the golf ball of course is going to be a lot harder and probably a lot more painful. But just make sure you don't go over that 7 or 8 out of 10 and you should be fine. Now after you've done the rolling the foot on the golf ball or the tennis ball, a nice little stretch you can do is this. So we're going to get the fingertips at the bottom of the toes and we're literally just going to pull the toes back and push your foot forward into your hand as well. And you might hold that for 5 seconds and relax. You go another 5 seconds and relax. And you can repeat that 3 to 5 times. Okay? What have we got next? Ankle mobility. So I'll put up a separate video for ankle mobility. But so far we're addressing soft tissue, so muscles. And with the ankle mobility, it's more of a joint issue. So if the actual main sort of joint through the ankle isn't that great, then that can actually cause some difficulties as well. So if you imagine a joint that doesn't move so well, that's going to create a lot of stiffness in the muscles around it, because the muscles got to work just that little bit harder to try and move things around. Okay, so if you imagine this is your foot, basically we have the toes at this end, we have a little dome over here, and then we have the tibia and the fibula coming down from the shins in like an arch, and that arch kind of sits on top of the dome and allows what's called dorsiflexion. Okay. Which is, pretty much what we do when we're walking and running. Okay, so some people have poor mobility in this dorsiflexion range, and they're generally people I find when they come in to see me, they're going to get very tight through the calves and also pretty tight through that tibialis anterior as well. So I'll put up a separate ankle mobility video you can look at. For anyone who's interested, that joint's called the talocrural joint. So look that up if you feel the need. So that's pretty much it. So we've got the stretch, we've got the 2 trigger points, we've got the ankle mobility as well. So there's 4 things there you can try. Actually, a 5th thing. Sorry, just one more thing you can do is using a cross friction technique. Sorry, just on the Achilles. So what you do is just get some tissue. And you basically just run the tissue down the Achilles this way. So the reason we're using tissue rather than actually using a hand is the tissue is going to keep it dry and obviously provide quite a bit of friction. That's hence the term cross friction technique. So what we do is with the tissue down there, just downward strokes, come up, downward stroke again. And you'll keep doing that for around 2 minutes or so. The time's going to be a little bit different for everyone, but you'll gradually start to feel a sense of numbness through the Achilles as you do that. So when you get to that point, that's when you stop, and then might be a great time to start doing some calf stretches, which I'm sure you're all aware of. There's only so many ways we can stretch the calves, and they all originate over two main stretches. Everything else is just variations of them, but they pretty much do the same job. So Achilles frictioning, trigger point on the inside, trigger point on the outside, ankle mobility, the video will come up after this, and also the plantar fascia stretch just through here. Okay, so get on with those, but like I said, although they can help and alleviate some of the symptoms, there can be a lot of other things from the big toe right up to the pelvis or even the upper back that may be causing the issue, so it's not going to substitute professional advice.